In this video, I will be arguing why society does not need atheism and is better off with religion.
And in this video, you will hear some of the most specious, illogical, and cherry-picked arguments ever put to YouTube. Get ready for a trip down Are You Kidding Me lane. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. Over the years, there have been many arguments for why religion is true, for why God is real. Most of them are, let's be charitable and say they're poorly reasoned and less than reliant on facts. This video is something you see occasionally, but rather less often. Someone who ignores proving religion's truth, instead focusing solely on whether it's beneficial or harmful. And he still manages to get it wrong.
Evidence to support this can be seen in Russia. There, Orthodox religion, meaning Christianity in the early days of the church, is seen as a force of unity among the population after the fall of the Soviet Union.
This is something you see quite often from religious people, the claim that atheism is the sole cause of any distress in the Soviet Union, and that religion is the only remedy. Never mind anything else that came along with communism, possibly causing people's lives to be something other than completely pleasant. Never mind there being no proof that the only possible solution is religion. In fact, a specific religion. This entire premise is based on cherry-picked data without ever providing proof that religion is necessary for peace.
In addition to this, religious holidays and celebrations such as Christmas has also been shown to bring people together from all over the world.
But why is a religious holiday necessary for this? Thanksgiving here in the United States brings people closer together, and there is nothing religious about it. It's a patriotic holiday. Same for the 4th of July, Independence Day. No God required. And I'm sure other countries can cook up their own secular holidays, or already have one or two. Even the allegedly religious holidays barely center around a religion anyway. A lot of people treat Christmas as Giftmas, giving and getting presents, and Hades with whether or not Jesus was born. And even if we engage in a religious holiday, allegedly, that doesn't mean that a God is real. It just means that humans have a holiday based on their beliefs. Whether those beliefs are true or not is an entirely separate matter.
According to Irish local newspaper New Raw Standard, they say that Christmas is a great way for people to develop bonds with others due to the feeling of family that is created during that time of year.
And yet, it doesn't take much searching to find literally dozens of articles describing Christmas as stressful, and many of them attribute this stress to, wait for it, family. Wonder of wonders, not everyone gets along with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and all the others, and for a whole host of possible reasons, not least of which is religion. Some family members might be quite zealous, others might not agree with religion's rules in various ways, and it can all go rather passive-aggressive, especially after all of that spiked eggnog. So let's not assume that Christmas is like a Norman Rockwell painting in front of a fireplace.
Despite this, atheists have stated that the rules and principles of religion, such as Christianity being against abortion, is what causes the division in many societies and causes conflicts around the world between different religions and non-believers.
I don't know why this guy is singling out abortion, but it is true. Religion causes conflicts all over the world. Why? Because of the all-must-conform, our God says-so sense of superiority that seems to come with religions, most notably the Abrahamic faiths. And when not everybody decides to bow and scrape, wars are begun because of the alleged divine ownership and thus godly mandate over the world. Atheism doesn't have this world domination built into it. If someone who isn't religious decides this world belongs to them, it's all their own idea. They don't have a God to lean on to excuse their behavior.
According to a publication in a series of magazines dedicated to Jehovah's Witness titled Awake, they have asked this question, and I quote, "Is there any evidence that universal atheism would lead to a better world?"
Now here is the crux of it. The question being asked isn't, is religion true, but rather, is religion better? This question is flawed in many ways. For example, which religion? Suppose absolutely nobody on this earth is an atheist. Everybody follows a religion. There is still going to be those conflicts where various religions, and various sects of the same religion, all think that they have it right, everybody else has it wrong, and some of them will fight over it, often to the death. And then we have to ask what better even means. I guarantee that some of us will be really unhappy with our lives if forced to follow religious mandate. We're not causing anybody any harm, but Abrahamic dogma still says we're all to be punished, often by death. But most of all, is religion even true? Suppose one religion somehow manages to unite the earth and everybody follows it, but it turns out to be complete bullshit. Imagine how people's lives will be wasted trying to follow doctrine that doesn't matter in the slightest. Before we start comparing atheism to theism and which would be better for the world, we need to define better, decide which God we're all supposed to be following, and then determine whether he, she, it, or they is even real.
To support this, they have brought up facts that claim around 1.5 million Cambodians dying in the Khmer Rouge's attempt to establish a godless state. Furthermore, Joseph Stalin's rule resulted in the deaths of around 10 million people in his establishment of an atheist Soviet Union.
Oh, they just love bringing up Stalin, Mao, and Pol Pot as a way of saying that atheist regimes would be terrible, as if the primary doctrine that drove them was godlessness rather than politics and economy/industry, and as if absolutely any atheist government would be exactly the same as every other. Never mind how many different sects there are of each religion. No, there would only be one atheism, and it must be evil. Apparently. And apparently we're supposed to ignore religious wars and atrocities that were explicitly done in the name of religion, or in opposition to a rival religion. The Crusades and the Spanish Inquisition come immediately to mind, not to mention pretty much the entire Middle East. Do we even need to bring up the Nazis and the demographics they rounded up for their concentration camps? If you really want to go there, we can go there. But the fact is that religion's hands are far from clean, while atheism is hardly a motivator for similar atrocities. It's incidental at best.
My second argument is that practicing religion can improve and maintain family stability. People who attend church with family have a lesser chance of being divorced, as well as have more happiness in their marriages.
Let's suppose this is true. It's complete bullshit, but pretend. Further, let's assume he's only talking about heterosexual marriages because religion. Then we're only covering how happy mom and dad might be without giving a thought to Junior and Sis. They're part of the family too, but what if one of them decides to marry someone from another faith, or an atheist? What if one of them turns out to be gay? How happy is this religious family gonna be then? For that matter, let's talk about LGBT folk. Will we even be allowed to get married? The world doesn't sound so much better for us, now does it? Like I said, this fellow has some of the most specious, cherry-picked arguments I've ever heard. His arguments for happiness seem centered solely around what would make happy the people with whom he already agrees and how he thinks life ought to be.
My final argument is that religion teaches morality and ethics. Religious people believe that in order to have moral knowledge, it is necessary for one to have a belief in a deity or divine being such as God.
The problem here is in his moral paradigm, what he thinks morality actually is. He says it himself. Moral knowledge. Theists seem to most often think of morality as a rule book, with all of the do's and don'ts written down in black and white, set in stone, almost like the rules to a board game. But morality doesn't work that way. Sometimes following the alleged rules will end up hurting more than it heals. Most atheists I know, and certainly myself, see morality's origin as the intersection between hurts and doesn't hurt, and with permission and without permission, where hurts and doesn't hurt are determined via empathy. In other words, morality is not set in stone. It's context dependent and will not be the same for everybody. Thankfully, there is a lot of overlap in what people will and won't tolerate, which is why empathy plays such a big role. But the idea that a God is necessary for morality is simply not so, and the idea that moral knowledge is even a thing makes no sense at all when the world is looked at with as little bias as possible.
Since God is believed to be the sole basis of the distinguishment between right from wrong, the belief in a divine God improves a person's morality, since God would be a figure or role model that each religious follower should strive to be like.
You'll have to pardon me if I don't want to be a damn thing like your God. A lot of what he does in the Bible would get your average man on the street thrown in prison and executed. Taking Voldemort as a role model would be a step up.
Catholics hold that each individual is created with a conscience and has a purpose in life. This can provide religious believers with a sense of an obligation to fulfill that purpose, giving them something to hope and look forward to in life.
Okay, they believe that. But is it true? Do they really have a purpose in life? This may make them happier, but is it reality? Because no religion has ever been able to prove its claims. No matter how much happier bullshit might make you, it's still bullshit. I'll take an unhappy truth over a joyful lie. At least it gives me something to work with in order to try to build my own happiness.
Some Christians say that the fear of God's divine wrath keeps religious people on the right moral path in life. This gives the atheist a point to use as an argument against religion, saying that the fear of divine wrath is unnecessary and that a human's common sense is enough to keep them from committing wrongs.
Or fear of the police, or fear of losing your friends, or that teacher with the ruler.
Although atheists blame religion for evil deeds such as extremist attacks, followers of religion confirm that neither religion nor reason is to blame for wrongdoings.
No, religion is definitely to blame. You don't have to look hard to find a mandate in the Bible telling followers to kill people who fall into certain demographics. The Quran isn't any better. And even if they were just peachy, so what? See, I don't think religion is true. I think it's made up. But some people think it is true, even if it's not, strictly speaking, the same version of religion other people follow. And they will do things in its name, motivated by it. Even if they're not playing 100% by, say, Christian rules, they're still being religious. So yes, religion is to blame. Religious zealotry is to blame. Belief is to blame. And if that horrifies you, good. Then join with me in trying to make these people stop. Don't just say it's not your religion and then turn your back like it's nothing to do with you. If you don't want your religion to get a bad name, take an active role in trying to stop the people tarnishing it. Is that fair? Maybe not, but it's still something you gotta do.
In conclusion, asking ourselves, to what extent does religion help society? Well, judging from my three arguments, which are religion is a unifying force, religion is crucial for family stability, and religion teaches morality and ethics, we are able to agree on the fact that religion brings about more advantages to society than disadvantages.
Given that none of these three premises are true and that religion's reality has not been shown, I think that this particular argument in favor of theism over atheism can now be safely discarded. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think.
You know, Dewey, we wouldn't have to do this if I had more Patreon patrons. Just saying.